There's something quietly terrifying about happiness that comes too easily in Beyond the Gates, and this episode proves it without ever raising its voice. Because on the surface, everything is fine, almost suspiciously fine. Let's break it down. The calm before the question mark. We open on what should be a victory lap. Vernon's results come back completely normal. No complications, no hidden twist, just relief. And honestly, after everything this show has put us through, that alone feels like a plot twist. Vernon handles it the way you'd expect, steady, protective, controlled. He downplays Anita's brief frustration and gently redirects her focus back to what actually matters, her cancer treatment. From a purely logical standpoint, his decision not to share additional stress with her during chemotherapy makes sense. But here's the problem. It also quietly breaks a promise. Anita doesn't want protection. She wants partnership. And the show makes that tension subtle but sharp. Two people who love each other deeply but define support in completely different ways. A happy moment, but not a simple one. Their evening together feels almost too perfect. They talk about traveling, sunlight, vitamin D, a future that isn't defined by hospital rooms and IV drips. And you can feel it, right? That fragile kind of hope. Because Anita is so close to the finish line, just one more round of chemotherapy, one more step before surgery, one more step before she can finally remove the tumor and reclaim her body. But the show doesn't let us forget what it cost her to get here. This is a woman who almost gave up, not because she's weak, but because the treatment itself is brutal enough to break anyone. That detail matters. It reframes her current optimism as something earned, not naive. So when she smiles, when she talks about the future, it hits harder. Vanessa walks in and changes the temperature. Then Vanessa arrives, and instantly the emotional tone shifts, not dramatically, but enough that you feel it. She brings a small gift. She smiles. She plays the role of the supportive friend perfectly, and for a moment, it works. Anita is genuinely happy to see her. But here's where the writing gets interesting. Vanessa isn't just happy for Anita. She's glowing, and Anita notices immediately. That's not accidental. This show loves using intuition as a storytelling device, and Anita's read is dead on. So what's Vanessa's big news? She's moving some of her things into Joey's house. Wait, that fast? Let's be honest, that's not just fast, that's strategically fast. Anita's reaction is exactly what the audience is thinking. Are you sure about this? And she doesn't sugarcoat it. She questions the long-term implications. She warns Vanessa gently, but clearly that Joey might not be the safest choice. Now here's where things get layered. Vanessa doesn't get defensive. She doesn't explode. She doesn't even hesitate. Instead, she calmly explains that she's already faced criticism, especially from Nicole, and that Nicole has now come around to support her. On paper, that sounds reassuring. But if you've been paying attention, it's actually a red flag. Because in this show, when everyone starts accepting something dangerous, that's usually when the danger is at its peak. The illusion of control. Vanessa insists it's her decision. And she's right. No one can stop her. But the real question is she actually in control of that decision? Or is she reacting to something deeper, grief, loneliness, the need for stability? We see her preparing to move in, carefully choosing what parts of her life to bring into Joey's space. Photos of her children, a small Zen garden, symbols of peace, grounding, identity. It's thoughtful, it's intentional, and yet it feels like she's trying to soften something that can't be softened. She even jokes about not wanting to scare Joey, which raises an uncomfortable question. What kind of man needs to be handled that carefully? The missing photo, that says everything. And then comes a detail that, for me, changes everything. Vanessa doesn't bring a photo of Doug, her late husband. Now, you could argue that it's practical. Most people wouldn't display a deceased spouse in a new partner's home. It's socially awkward, emotionally complicated. But in a show like this, nothing is just practical, because that absence speaks louder than any object she did bring. It suggests that Vanessa is consciously or not editing her past to fit her present. And that's dangerous, Not because moving on is wrong, but because erasing context always comes at a cost. The dark truth beneath the surface. Here's where the analysis stops being comfortable. We, as the audience, know something Vanessa doesn't. Joey isn't just complicated, he's dangerous, and not in an abstract, emotional sense. In a literal one, he killed Doug, and Vanessa still believes it was an accident. Let that sink in. Because it completely reframes every decision she's making right now. Every smile, every hopeful step forward, every box she carries into his house. It's all built on a lie. So why does this matter now? Because this episode isn't about action. It's about positioning. Every character is being placed exactly where the story needs them for the next collapse. Anita is at her emotional peak, hopeful, resilient, almost free. Vernon is stable but quietly controlling the narrative. Vanessa is stepping deeper into a situation she doesn't fully understand. And Joey doesn't need to do anything. That's what makes him terrifying. The Deanna factor and the inevitable collision. If there's one wild card that could disrupt this fragile setup, it's Deanna. Because unlike Vanessa, Deanna doesn't buy the illusion. And when she starts asking questions about Doug, about Joey, about the timeline, things will crack. Not immediately, but inevitably. And when Vanessa is forced to confront the possibility that her fresh start is built on something darker, that's when this storyline goes from emotional to explosive. Final thought. Happiness isn't the opposite of danger. What makes this episode smart quietly, almost deceptively smart, is that it doesn't rely on shock. It builds tension through contrast. Joy next to secrecy, hope next to manipulation, healing next to hidden violence, and it leaves us with a question that's hard to ignore. What if the most dangerous moment isn't when everything falls apart, but when everything finally seems okay? Because right now, everything seems okay, and that's exactly why I don't trust it.